Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we are going to be doing a little bit of shorter-term technical analysis for the first time in a couple of moons because, as you guys may be aware, Bitcoin is currently in a rising, ascending triangle pattern after a major bearish breakout, which is really interesting because the pattern we're looking at has about a 70% chance of breaking to the upside, while the overall bullish and bearish formation that we are in right now has about a 70% chance of breaking to the downside. So they're kind of contradicting each other right now. So we're going to be diving into that in today's video, and I'm going to be breaking down the possibilities of a bullish breakout, a bearish breakout, and I'm going to give you my opinions on where I personally think we are going from here. As you can see, Bitcoin has fallen very, very quickly here, and it went into one ascending triangle pattern, but decided to break bearish, but it didn't fall very far, and now we've come to another decision point. Is Bitcoin going to break bullish above $6,900, or are we going to break bearish and head quite a bit lower? We're going to be diving into all of that and more in today's video, as well as some news, because guys, there are some rumors about Binance buying CoinMarketCap for a whopping $400 million. So we're going to be diving into that later on in today's video as well. But before we do, I first want to ask you to hit that like and subscribe button if you do enjoy today's video. It really helps out the channel when you do that. But without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. I just want to take a second and brag a little bit. I mean, I don't think about it much because I never see it until I'm watching the video back. But is that a cool intro or what? I'm so happy with how that turned out. I paid for that, got it sent back to me, and I'm like, wow, I'm impressed. I'm so happy with it, guys. I'm just happy. It's just a good day. Just a good day. Don't judge me. It's a good day. You know what rhymes with good day? Anyway, let's go ahead and dive on into some technical analysis. I will be brief in going over everything that's just happened because I think by now you are aware of the day that Bitcoin fell 50%. I'm going to start calling that Black Thursday because it happened on a Thursday. Over here on Black Thursday, we fell below $7,800 and we broke below our important support level of $6,900, and we broke just about everything else, including the hearts of investors around the world. From there, however, we have been in a little bit of an uptrend, actually, which is interesting because if you measure this from bottom to where we are now, you will see that we've rallied 64% if you use the candle wicks, and if you use the candle bodies, you're going to see we've rallied a whole 33%. Most other markets have not managed to do the same thing. The Dow Jones is up 20%, and it fell for much longer than Bitcoin did, and if you look at the SPY, you will see that the SPY is only up 18%. Even gold, the player that everybody says, oh, you need to be in gold for when the stock market crashes because gold will be the hedge. How about gold? Let's check gold. Gold's up 10%. Measuring Bitcoin in the worst case possible, because this is a very long lower shadow, we get over 30% bounce, not even including where we bounced to back here, which was 40%. I think it's very important for us to understand that Bitcoin is most certainly correlated with stock markets right now. There is no doubt that Bitcoin is correlated with the stock market, and is correlated with the news, and is correlated with the fundamentals, and is correlated with the pulling back of the economy. There's no doubt about that. But Bitcoin has never been as correlated to the economy as the stock market is. It just hasn't been. Bitcoin grew up in a period of 128 months of bullishness. It grew up during a bull run. It grew up during a period of growth. And during that time, it never really had to worry too much about the economy collapsing because the economy didn't collapse. Now that the economy is kind of collapsing, Bitcoin still has all of that trust and all of that security and that hedge mindset and kind of the little community that we have built here in Bitcoin propping it up. So it has managed to bounce much harder than any other market that I can personally find. And the reason I say all of that is because it is tempting just to right off the bat say Bitcoin's going to break bearish here because everything is going to hell in a handbasket in the real world. And you're probably right. That is probably a good argument. Don't get me wrong. I personally think that there's a pretty good chance that Bitcoin breaks bearish and pulls back to at least $5,500 again on the 200 weekly SMA. I think we can be in agreement on that. But that doesn't mean that we write off the bullish case entirely. Let's dive into that. I want to bring your attention to this moment right here on the 27th of March, just a few days ago. Many things have happened since then, but in general, the state of the world hasn't changed a whole lot. The numbers have just gotten slightly bigger. In fact, in the last days, these stock markets that we're talking about, they've continued to level off. So there's not a lot of bearishness going on in markets right now, so not much has changed. Bitcoin broke bearish here from a pretty obvious uptrending level of support, and it pulled back not very far. That's the first point to make. Bitcoin broke bearish out of a very, very important pattern. This ascending triangle pattern, it's basically a bear pennant at the bottom of this correction. We only pulled back 12%. You would have expected, with everything going on in the world right now, it would have been very understandable for you to expect Bitcoin to pull back 20, 30, 40% after a correction like that. But that's not what happened. Bitcoin pulled back to its previous low of around $5,700. And the second point is, not only did Bitcoin only pull back 12%, Bitcoin bounced relatively hard. We bounced 10% in the span of about 40 hours. And because of that, we have redefined our uptrending level of support. It is now this one right here with 2 tests back here at the beginning and 1 test more recently about 2 days ago. Where does that leave us now? Well, it leaves us with a decision, and this is one of those decision points that I love talking about so much, guys. It's very important to understand Bitcoin is in a downtrend. The entire economy, the entire world is in a very, very bearish position right now, but Bitcoin not being as correlated with the rest of the world as many things like gold or silver or platinum or oil are, has a better chance to bounce because of that decoupling. Here's what I pose to you. In the next 72 hours or so, Bitcoin very well may rally to $6,900. And when it gets there, many of us are going to short. And it is going to be very difficult for Bitcoin to get through this level of resistance. Don't get me wrong. My point in this video is not to say Bitcoin is going to break $6,900 and go on a rally up to 78. That is not the point I'm trying to make. The point I want to make to you is that when Bitcoin gets there, be careful of shorting, because there is actually a possibility that Bitcoin breaks out there. And I want you guys to be ready for that if that happens. You cannot be certain of anything in the cryptocurrency market. You can be certain the sun will rise tomorrow. You can be certain that taxes will be due. You can be certain that I will have a coffee mug on my desk somewhere with a really funny saying like a boss lady on it. But you cannot be certain of many things happening in the cryptocurrency space. You cannot be certain of a breakout or a correction or a test or resistance or anything. So with that said, be very careful of the mindset of Bitcoin is certainly going to collapse because the rest of the economy is. Because we don't actually know. Bitcoin corrected for several days during the beginning of this pullback earlier on in the month, but actually, as this has been getting worse over the last 2 weeks, what has Bitcoin been doing? It's actually been in a state of rally. It hasn't been a very steep rally, and again, I will say it for like the 5th time in this video, I think Bitcoin is going to correct, but I can't be certain of that, and I don't want you guys being certain of it either, because it's simply not a certainty. When Bitcoin, if Bitcoin does rally to $6,900, do not for a second write off the possibility of a bullish breakout, because it might happen, and you either 1 might get burned on a short, and 2 might miss out on the ability to put in a long position. Guys, I never come on camera and tell you to do something that I myself wouldn't do. And right now, I am not really trading this market, to be honest with you. I am sitting here looking for long-term swing trades. I'm looking for lower lows for investment purposes. But since Bitcoin and the global economy is in such a period of uncertainty, I'm not doing a whole lot of actual trading right now. I'm looking for longer-term trades and longer-term investments. You guys know I've already put many hundreds of dollars into some altcoins, and I'm either going to be looking at rental property pretty soon or some more altcoin investments. Either way, I'm looking to invest during this period of correction over the next year or so as the global economy has its correction following the news. So I'm not even necessarily saying that you have to be trading this market. There's a very big thing to be said about standing back and watching the market and not actually trading it, simply watching it and learning it. It's very important to understand that there is value in every single market movement, even if you're not in a position during that market movement. Does that make sense? In fact, I'd say that it's better to learn the market while not in a trade because you're not emotionally invested in the outcome. With that all being said, guys, whatever is going to happen here in the next 4, 5, 6 days or so, I think it is going to be very important, and I think it is going to be pivotal for the coming month of April for Bitcoin. Whether we break bullish or whether we break bearish, if we break bullish above $6,900, that means we put a higher high in. If we break bearish, then that means we broke our uptrending level of support, and we might see a continued pullback on Bitcoin going into the month of April. No matter what the case may be, I want you guys to be aware of one thing, and this applies to everything. In cryptocurrencies, in stocks, in gold, in oil, in any market, in real estate, there's a lot of money to be made in those investments, but there's also a lot of money to be lost. So you need to be very cautious and careful and strategic in your investments, but at the same time, you don't want to be so cautious and careful and strategic that you take no risk, because if you look up the definition of entrepreneur, the word risk is literally in the definition. You have to take risks to make money in this way. This is not a 9-to-5. Investing has never been certain. If you want to make money, you need to take risks, but there is no reason to take unfounded risks. What we mean by risk is calculated risk, strategic risk, safe as possible risk, but also something with a high profit margin. Cryptocurrencies and real estate are 2 of my favorite. And to close us out here, I want to remind you guys of what happened in 2008. 2008, 2009, and for the real estate market, it took a few more years, 2011 and 12, there was a massive correction in just about everything. I was 8 or 9 years old while that was happening, so you guys know that I don't really have firsthand experience with that, although I do remember the impacts it had on my childhood. Many of you guys were alive and maybe even operating as an adult in that period, and you will remember the economic hardship that many people went through. Tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people around the world went through very, very hard times as a result of that. But, and it's a very important but, in that time, 2008 and 9, is where some of the richest people alive today made their money. Let me tell you something. A lot of success stories don't happen in a period of growth. They don't happen in a period of bull market. They don't happen in a period of expansion for the economy, because when that inevitable recession comes, many of them get the foundation that they laid on a pile of sand washed out from under them, and their entire business collapses because they were not prepared for it. But when the recession comes, when housing prices are low, when stock prices are low, when there's many less competitors in the space because everybody has gone bankrupt, that right there is when a legendary business can be formed. Because if you can grow in the furnace of a recession and build your business from nothing in a time like that, imagine the kind of growth that you're going to experience when that recession ends and when the period of growth, as it always does, inevitably returns. So friends, there are 3 types of people when a crisis or a recession comes. The first kind of person is the kind of person who's going to sit back, they're going to watch Netflix, they're going to kick their legs up, they're going to play some Minecraft, and they're going to say, okay, Uncle Sam's going to bail me out, I'll be fine. In that category are also the kind of people like single fathers and mothers who are going to get very badly hurt. You're the second type of people who have seen this crisis coming because either they've been through one before or they have experience with someone who has been through one before. Nevertheless, they're prepared for it and they are ready to buy up those stocks, buy up Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, buy up real estate, start a business while the market's low, and build a business that will last decades and generations. Those are the kind of people who are going to make millions and maybe even billions during recessions. And then you have the third kind of person. You have the kind of people who don't know what to do during those times, either because they don't have enough money on the sidelines or they simply don't know where to put the money that they have on their sidelines. If that is you, I want you to use this next year of economic hardship as a learning experience, because this will not be the last pandemic, this will not be the last recession, this will not be the last crash in prices, it will not be the last time this happens. And when it happens next time, you will have learned everything that you possibly can from this moment in history, and you will be ready. And hopefully by that time, I will still be here on YouTube having a grand old time with you guys every single morning, as I'm about to do over in the first cohort with the Coffee and Crypto live stream. Have to go get some more coffee first, though. I've been out for a couple of minutes now. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it out for today's video. I do hope you did enjoy today's video. As always, if you did, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel when you do that, and I'd be very appreciative if you did. But without much further ado, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. I do first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, though, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.